All right, we are live, guys. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties. I am here with a very special guest. Again, I'm going to pronounce the first and the second part perfectly because I am familiar with those, but the last one is Portuguese, so I'm going to have a hard time with that. So it's Shabnam Sharifi Nacimiento. No, Nacimiento.
Nacimiento. Or you just say
Nacimiento. Okay.
Nacimiento.
Nacimiento.
Good to
Okay.
be here.
Okay, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's an honor to have you on the show. Thank you.
Pleasure's mine.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself so that our audience become introduced to you before we start talking?
Well, I am from Afghanistan. I was born there. Like I spent half of my life in Afghanistan and a little bit more than half outside, mostly in Switzerland. So I'm a Swiss citizen. Um, I would have really looked away from Afghanistan, but the problem is when 2021 happened, I just realized like every anxiety, everything I had from my childhood, it came back because I lived actually under the Taliban's first regime. So for someone who really, as a little girl, absorbed everything that happened in that time, I would say it's a trauma that you pay for the rest of your life. And for me, that happening, I always remember was like the first 2 months of the invasion that I wasn't able to rest, sleep, eat. I took it quite personal compared to other people that I know and my family members. So since then, I'm back to politics. I don't necessarily directly engage or dictate what has to happen in Afghanistan, but I'm pretty much active behind the scenes supporting alternative politicians, particularly from my background, Tajiks. And at the same time, I try to encourage them to speak with the people because today we have the opportunity like we never had it before. You have social media where people directly communicate with you and the leaders can communicate back to them, especially when it comes to building trust. So that's pretty much what I'm doing these days.
Amazing. How old were you when you lived in Afghanistan under the first regime of the Taliban? How old were you again? You mentioned.
You know, if you ask somebody's age, especially in Afghanistan, you will never find the exact date. My parents kept saying, you know,
Oh,
I was 17 when I left, but that was the time when I made my own passport and I realized what is written on my birth certificate is not the same what is written, what my parents told me. So I was 17, but according to my documents, I was, yeah, 18 and a half.
what
Yeah.
is it like to be a teenage girl in Afghanistan under living under the Taliban, especially the first time that they were in power? Like, what was that like? Can
I'm
you?
not that old, so I was 10 when the Taliban left. But do you
Okay,
understand
10.
what it means, like 5 years of oppression and in a child's life, especially
Yeah.
if you're between 1 to 10 or 12, you know? It just like it sticks with you. That's the life that you accept. But it took like a lot of time when you realized how many things were unfair. Like you as a child, you were supposed to grow outside, live in the nature, like everything that
Right.
I do now with my children, like when I look back and think that that's something we did not have, and we didn't even expect it because that wasn't a standard, right? When you're in that age. Perhaps when you're a teenager, I think maybe teenagers had other challenges. Like I remember my sister, she was forced to wear this blue headscarf. Apparently
Hmm.
she was 12 or something. So like that was something that I wasn't, I wouldn't understand that. But when it came to my own experiences, for me, I think it was more about wanting to be outside, but not having the opportunity, looking outside like from a small apartment. You see the boys when winter comes, they make slides from ice, from a snow. They play outside. When different seasons come, different celebrations, like you have these little amusement parks coming beneath your building, but you are not allowed to go out. So like looking at it from behind the window, for me, I think it just, that is a traumatic experience that I don't wish for any other child. But
You were
luckily,
robbed
also, I
of your.
would.
Yeah, sorry, go on. Finish. I thought you were finished. Go on. Continue. Finish that.
No, I just wanted to add that the other side of, you know, for many years, like I would be mad at my parents for not allowing us to go outside. Like it's a prison, being born and raised in a small apartment. You don't get to see
Yes.
air every day, like going outside. Like it wouldn't make sense. Like why they didn't fight for us? But what I realized after years, the reason even they had to do it, I learned it from other classmates, like from people who we were raised in the same environment. After years, when I learned the ones who were able to go outside, boys and girls, they have like very bad experiences. Things that sometimes I remember a friend of me saying to my older sister, I wish my parents didn't let me to go outside. Like, you know, it's a sick environment. What do you think happens when you oppress a country? When the men are repressed in terms of when it comes to them being as human being, right? Living with women together in a society. And the absence of that, you start to become, you know, every human being becomes a monster. That's why you have, you know, rape cases in Afghanistan, the children being abused, men being abused. It's not like, you know, an issue that normally we should have, but because the lack of women, you know, preventing people living the way they're supposed to live, then this is the kind of environment, society you create. So that was something for me that I would say, from one side it was good, from the other side it had also the downside.
Yeah, I can't imagine going through childhood without going out and playing outside. I mean, isn't that like that's a huge part of growing up. That's a major,
It
like, I mean,
is.
that's your childhood was robbed away from you, wouldn't you say?
It is actually. I mean, I have accepted it. It has been a long time. I've absorbed it. You know, so I had the opportunity to live in different countries, different environment, heal myself, acknowledge and understand. The more I communicated with my parents, I understood the circumstances. And all I want to do is make sure that that doesn't happen, at least not to others. Like now I'm a mom. I see the needs of children. I see it from the other side as a parent. And I honestly even can't imagine what it was for my parents to see us crying, wanting to go out, but each time even, you know, that you have to deny it, reject it, and just make them sure that they don't even understand what freedom means. Like that's why for me, everything was normal, it was a standard, but something wasn't okay. And it was very depressing. That's all I remember.
Would would you blame the Islam as a religion for that experience, or would you just say no, this is just the culture at that time in Afghanistan, or would you actually go directly to blaming the religion?
Both, both.
Both. Okay.
Because, you know, when it comes to the best way to control people, it is, you know, through a certain identity, especially religious identity. It
Mm.
could be so dangerous. Like whatever plan you have, whatever you want to implement on the people, the best way you can make that happen, you do through religion. I mean, the fact that we
Mm.
had to be, uh, you know, not seen on the street, not outside, like make women less present in the society. I mean, this is more that has to do a lot with religion. And that was used as a tool because the minute you're educated, you're well-informed mom, you have time for your children, you take care of them, you will not send them to a madrasa where they get brainwashed. You will always want to monitor what your children learn, right? But if the women are active, they're part of the society, then you don't have that opportunity to indoctrinate children, the younger generation. A smart moms means like a smart mom wouldn't give in to those, you know, um, certain religious practices. And I would say it's a mix of both religion and culture and the lack of education.
Do you think that the problem in Afghanistan, and again, correct me if I'm wrong about this, is more deep rooted, like embedded within the society, more compared to places like Tajikistan and Iran, where the people there seem to have, on average, are moving away from, Islamic values? But in Afghanistan, there seems to be a delay in this waking up process. Is that the sense that you're getting, or are we seeing some progress?
I think progress is happening. I would say thanks to social media. I actually was
Right.
quite shocked because I try to stay, as a Swiss citizen, as someone, my allegiance is to Switzerland. Like I chose this identity. This is my country. And I will never give myself permission to engage myself in little issues around Afghanistan. But the last 6 months, I realized that the time was, ticking, clocks were ticking. I knew what's happening geopolitically. I try to advise the how can I say, so-called influential leaders that we have, like providing recommendations, suggestions. But I realized it's like an obstacle, something that nobody knows what it is. So I try to engage directly with the people. Like since January this year, almost now 9 months soon, I've been listening to spaces where majority of people from Afghanistan are there. I've been following. I'm part of advisory board, political committee of different alternatives to the Taliban. They're not even working together, but I'm there as an observer. Sometimes I give them recommendation. So what I definitely understood that people are slowly starting to understand that how we have been controlled. And for me, even what is interesting is like the last few months since I learned about Iran more, I realized immediately how much Iran, especially IRI, this current regime, actually influenced the changes in Afghanistan. And actually, we've been falling prey as Tajik, I would say. We fell prey to the Islamic regime propaganda. Sometimes they use religion, because majority of the country are Muslims, to make us loyal to them. And what actually impacted mostly the Tajiks, it was them, the Iran regime, using our culture, our identity, the shared culture that we have, as a tool to make sure that we follow them and blindly just believing whatever they say to be true. They showed themselves as the guardian of this Persian civilization, the rich history that most of us are really proud of. But as the time passed by, we just realized actually whatever changes happened in Iran, it impacted us in Afghanistan, like in terms of religion. But now after 4 years, like 40 years, now I started to notice how Iran influenced us. And that's why right now,
You
the
mean by
people of
Iran? By
Afghanistan,
Iran, you mean the
especially
Islam? By
Islamic
Iran, you mean the
regime,
Islamic Republic? Yes, yes, not the
the Islamic
people. Yeah. Okay.
Republic,
Okay.
yes. No, no,
Yeah.
no. The
Okay.
people, when it comes to people, I would say from experience, from hearing about them, from my own interaction here, I never actually, it was always like, when you interact with civilized people, people who are rich in culture and history and language, when they talk, like they're full of, very sophisticated people. That was never an issue. That was even not a point. But just when I started to realize what the regime has done and why we do what we do, I noticed that it's a lot of influence also from this regime, a lot of influence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I think I
So
did not
yeah,
answer
the
your
regime.
question. You asked something.
I asked whether the people in Afghanistan, are you seeing them waking up faster? Because we're seeing, like in countries like Tajikistan or Iran, not the in Iran, not the government, of course. The people
The
are
people.
becoming a lot more. The people are becoming a lot more modern, a lot more liberal, a lot more against their own regime, a lot more secular minded, a lot more friendly towards the West, and also a lot more friendly to Israel. And we're seeing a huge shift in Tajikistan. Of course, they have already made a lot of improvements, and they've grown so much. They became much more secular, and also a lot more based on historical. Like they focus in Tajikistan on their historical culture and nationalist narratives rather than Islamic ones.
Religion
And the
alone.
Iranian
Yeah.
people, yeah, and also the Iranian people wish they could do that as well, but obviously the regime in Iran is anti-national symbols because they favor Islamic symbols, but the Iranian people favor national symbols. But the Iranian people are very much tied into their history and into their culture, and the regime is against them. But even though the Iranian people can't do what they want with regards to their culture and their history and their patriotism, the thing is that I notice in these countries like Tajikistan and Iran, the people have moved on so much from backward Islamic values. But I don't know if in Afghanistan, if we see that as much, and even if we do see that, is it representative of most of the country, or is it just some minority educated city, university students based in Kabul? Like only those groups do we see? Is it like nationwide, or is it only like a specific group of people that have are more progressive, but most of the country is still maybe even supports the
I would
Taliban? Like
say,
maybe
I
Taliban
would
is it?
say it's
Yeah.
the latter. It's the latter. Like,
Okay.
what I have faith, I definitely know that the people even in Saudi Arabia, Middle East, like for me, those countries, I had a different image of them. With time, I realized that these countries, the people have
The people.
awakened life. They shouldn't allow it to be used as a political system, because when it's mixed with
Sorry,
politics, you see
you
what
got
is
cut off a little
happening.
bit. You got cut off for a
You hear
second.
me
Can you go
now?
back a little bit? Yeah, we can. I can hear you, but can you just don't touch it? Don't touch it. It will ruin it. Can you go back a few seconds and say that again?
Yeah. I said
Okay.
that I see the shift that has happened in the Saudis, right? Saudi Arabia, even Uzbekistan. Like just a while ago, I think you had one of the singers, Jennifer Lopez, was performing in Uzbekistan. Fun fact is, Uzbekistan is also sponsoring madrasas in Afghanistan. So the thing is, I would say it's the latter. It's us, the few of us. There's a lot of people among mujahideens, the people who actually believed in the religion so strictly. Among the Taliban, I cannot say anything because I quite try to study my own people, the non-Pashtuns in Afghanistan, which are the majority of the population. So I've shifted my focus on the population that is fixable, that you can work with them. As for Pashtuns, it's a very different matter. You find people of all different know-how. You find people that are quite understanding, well aware of the geopolitics, the religion, how it played, and what role it played in their life. But as for us Tajiks, I would say it's a starting. And because of social media, I think the impact will be amplified. I expect more people to start realizing what's happening. You have like people coming among them because, there's this human psychology. The minute you tell people not to do this and that, they get defensive. But you have people coming, sometimes even using this rhetoric of terrorists, like saying, this is how you hire these people. It's so easy, just go hire them. But actually, indirectly, very cleverly, they're trying to make people pay attention how cheap your life is being used, right? Like I tell you this and you just easily believe me. And I see how they're gaining every day more followers, more people are being tolerant when you have a discussion like that. Even the last few months, the tensions between Israel, Palestine, the tensions between Pakistan, India, it has been quite contributing in terms of the people's collective conscience. But I have to tell you, not everybody is on social media. Like in Afghanistan in January this year, we had around 40 million people who had access to the internet, like 9 million people, 44 million were on social media getting their information, and 9 million using the internet. So it's a good indication, but still you have to know they're using, consuming censored information from legacy media, be it coming from the Taliban, coming from Iran, Al Jazeera. That is my biggest concern, Armin, about Afghanistan. Like clock is literally taking. It's a time bomb for the region, for you guys. Even if progress in Iran happens today or tomorrow, the change in regime, whether Tajikistan can maintain its sovereignty as it is right now, whether Pakistan can actually shift with what's happening. I think if the people in Afghanistan, the alternatives, they don't move faster and stop the madrasas, like indoctrination of the young population of Afghanistan, which is about 60 to 80% of the population is under 30. It's quite a lot. And young people are quite vulnerable to whatever information you give them. They accept it, they absorb it fast. If they don't move, I think we can expect to lose a generation to terrorism. And 200-300 years backward, it will affect Tajikistan, which is very vulnerable to Islamists. Your people, because what I have been observing The Islamic regime have been using also our people against the Iranians who are uprising.
Yes.
This is a fact. And like you see, like completely, it's actually against the region, against other countries. As long as this
Yeah.
situation stays in Afghanistan and the alternatives do not join hands or find more efficient, practical ways, which there is, there's lack of power and courage. I think the progress will go faster. More people will wake up. More of them will understand how we have been played. If Saudi Arabia, the house of God, where Islam came from, if these people have moved on, if they have come to terms to make peace with Israel, to understand I mean, like you have to understand as Muslims, you just, if they're okay, what problem do you have with them? Like, yeah, people will slowly start to understand, but I would say for the time being, work needs to be done.
Yeah. And before I ask you what type of work it needs to be done, do you get the sense that right now most people in Afghanistan want an Islamic government, an Islamic Emirate, Taliban, or something else? Like if they had the choice between a secular democracy and an Islamic government. I'm not talking again. I'm not talking about the young university city people in Kabul. I'm talking about an average in Afghanistan. If they had to, if they had to choose between a secular democracy or a Sharia-led government, which one would they choose? Most of them.
Such a tricky question, Armin, because looking at people's sentiment, because that matters to me a lot, and I listen to them. You hear the common sentences where even someone who's a mullah, like they make joke about other mullahs. Like you can see even in a group, for instance, an average group where there's a discussion about Islam, you have sometimes people coming as a sarcasm norm before, like it was a taboo to say that. They come and just say, stop with your mullah activities, right? And this is coming from people who are mostly considered conservative people, religious people before, especially the young generation. Um, I kind of forgot the question, Armin, but I think that was an interesting
So
point I wanted to
the
add.
question is that between an Islamic Emirate and a secular democracy, which, if
Okay, I
on
got it.
average, the people in Afghanistan, which one would they choose? Yes, yes.
I think they will go for first in the absence of a little more intervention in terms of giving them information. Because I don't see someone talking about these topics. Unlike like in Iran, you have your experts discussing these issues. People are educated, they're well informed. But in Afghanistan, if there's any discussions about religion, it's always about who knows it best. Nobody's, spending so much time informing people what is right, what is not. I think if people know more about it, they will choose a secular state. But nobody ever showed them, because the minute someone talks about secularism, um, they have a failed image of other countries and they think it's not going to work. But I believe, especially when it comes to non-Pashtuns of Afghanistan, especially the Hazaras, they have advanced a lot because these people are educated, they work hard, they try to inform themselves. Like you see that they're more like civilized, they understand when, the whole game with religion and indoctrination. And if you give them the choice, the majority of Hazara people, they definitely want a secular state. You have prominent influential figures among Pashtuns who also prefer secular state. But that cannot decide the average people's sentiment, the people who are being right now influenced by Taliban on the ground. Yeah, it's a tricky
So
question to answer.
my sense is that we're going to be stuck with the Taliban for a very long time, and we need to invest from the bottom up in Afghanistan rather than the top down. Unfortunately, the issue with Taliban is that the Taliban, unfortunately, as the situation is right now in Afghanistan, it's the actual reflection of what the situation is in Afghanistan. That's why it's hard to remove Taliban from power, because Taliban is what you get with the current mindset, the average
Situation.
mindset that we have in Afghanistan. Yeah. So
What
instead of trying
what
to
makes
remove
you
the
think
Taliban, we
that?
have to invest long term in the people into multiple generations down the road, because right now we're not going to get much out of the current situation. Like, we need to invest long term. What do you think?
I would say it can stay this way, but there's also solutions. Some of the people
Yeah.
that I've worked with, I talk with, they know the solutions, but it's the lack of courage, also a little bit uncertainty in terms of how Pakistan is going to behave if they take this different route. Because Pakistan plays a huge role. The change is also in Iran that will have an impact on the people. So maybe, like right now, Switzerland, they are in process of allowing the consulate members to be members of the Taliban and not the previous former regime from Afghanistan. And if you understand, this has started happening, like most Western countries are starting working with the Taliban, this including the civil society, the alternatives, political, all that. The reason is that these people have access to the land, and there are a lot of things to do with Afghanistan that you cannot work with with the alternatives. So you have to facilitate, a way to work with them. And as for Switzerland, we have legit concerns. We have lots of immigrants. We have criminals, especially from Afghanistan, that need to be deported. But because of lack of relationship, until now, it was quite difficult. So like every country has to think for themselves. And I would say it really comes down to the alternatives. The key lies in their hands. And it's really not outside of Afghanistan, the answer. It's inside. If they start to do those actions that I've talked about, and maybe I'll describe some of them with you also, I think it's no longer a secret. There's nothing to be secret about those actions, the action steps.
What?
It's possible that Afghanistan's balkanization will happen. And that means you start to rescue the country piece by piece from falling into terrorist hands, from the indoctrination of the future generation. That is possible. And I would say this is the only way you can get ahead, because if one place is liberated, if a civil system comes back to power, and this time quite differently that I have suggested, it's possible others will be influenced and triggered to start acting. I see a scenario pretty much of like Switzerland, but I have more my faith on the region. It's all about their leaders. When they make those actions, when they take it, I think you will see changes. But for now, I think the international community has to do what they have to do.
My 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 thought is, and you could tell me if this what you think about this. The best way to invest in Afghanistan, and to save Afghanistan, is to invest in the children of Afghanistan. And given that the Taliban has so much control over the children of Afghanistan, my hope is in technology, and especially the type of technology where we eventually are going to have satellite internet on smartphones, right? Meaning that there is no way to filter it. There is no way that the government could control it, and everybody with their phone are going to be directed, bypassing whatever filter or the government just like. I think when that technology comes, I think that's going to revolutionize everything. And then when that happens, all we have to do is we need to have AI enabled phones that can connect to the satellite internet. Just get that as secretly. Just try to get as many of those into the hands of children in Afghanistan as possible. And I think that is the revolution that we did in Afghanistan. I think if we could get the children of Afghanistan phones that they could get connected to social media, and they could also get connected to AI, that they could fact check things with AI. I think once we have satellite internet of phones, we need to do fundraising and get phones into the hands of, and also apps that are based on education. So the phones need to come up with AI, with internet access, with free memberships with their internet, and also educational apps like and private AI tutors. And that would be what I would be fundraising for, and getting that somehow, raising money to get that into the hands of the children of Afghanistan. That's a plan. I think that would work. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Armin, what? As for Afghanistan, like really nothing worries me more than the children. It's not the women. It's
Yeah.
Like a lot of people I see, their energy has been shifted on gender apartheid, the women issue. But the thing is, women are adult. If you're like a minor, I know that your options are limited. And when it comes to the women issue, like they're adult, they can decide for themselves. But even you touch on a very sensitive topic, the topic of aid. If I can tell you, from my background, from my studies, international relations, knowing countries like Afghanistan, which are not developed, least developed countries, corrupt countries, any sort of aid, any sort of support, it kind of fires back. And children issues, so for me, it's so important. Like in the beginning, in the first few years, I was really thinking about that. I saw like a lot of online schools being opened, even though the people did not have the knowledge, or we didn't have these new applications that are developing every day. But people were trying to, provide these platforms for children where they can attend online schools, different activities, different things. But the minute it comes from outside, that's the time when people really, like, you don't see real results, real commitment. It's just free money.
Mm.
As much as I admire what you're saying, but I would say the people of Afghanistan, especially those saying that they want a better future, I think they have to start pushing, doing something by themselves. I remember a few
But
months
I'm not
ago when the
talking about getting
USID stopped.
Yep. Sorry, go on. There's a delay.
No, but
Go on.
I agree what you say in terms of, I definitely would say let's say simultaneously, aside from what politicians have to do, right? I completely agree with you that when it comes to the children, I know some good examples of some family. First of all, do not send your children to madrasas. You don't know what happens there. The mullahs, the majority, every person from Afghanistan by now know it in their heart, even if they wouldn't admit it. They're not normal people. We see videos every day. People talk about it. Even if you go sit down in a closed room, people talk about what is happening. Like, I don't know what kind of responsible parents would send their children to madrasas. First thing, that should be stopped. There are ways, for instance, I know some families from Parwan, someone explained to me how, with so many nephew, nieces that they have started hiring their grandmother so that the grandmother can teach them everything. Like find someone from the family members where, they can teach children, but just to make sure they don't go to madrasa. At least you know what kind of information you share with them. Second step, I would say yes. If there's going to be any sort of not fundraising, but providing the chance by the people of Afghanistan themselves, definitely they have to enable the children to have access to the current technology that we have. Elon Musk maybe can do something magic, because in Afghanistan, everybody has almost access to smartphone. I won't say everybody, but telephone, everyone has, even a few of them. I can't speak about certain remote villages where people don't even know if car exists. I can't talk about that. But as for majority of the country, the people, and I know information spreads fast, they have telephone. The next thing is like the people have to think of the technology, how we can ensure that it can happen. Do you have some experience with that?
Yeah, right. The thing is that what I know is that in Afghanistan, maybe the kids, the teenagers in the cities, they have access to smartphones, but most people, like based on the numbers I think I saw a long time ago, and most of the country still doesn't have access to smartphone. It's mostly in the city centers that people have access to smartphones. And I understand that people need to
It's
rise up themselves,
controversial.
but
Mhm.
yeah, go on. Sorry.
About the telephones that you said, because it's very difficult. Like you find in places that I wouldn't think of, like somebody talking about someone, or there's a video you have from Kandahar and you see people have access to it. But then you have towns, places people don't have. So there's no statistics about that. All I know is from experience, from knowing my people, my parents, like each have 2, 3 telephones. Not here, the people in the diaspora, or the people outside of the country, but those that were inside, that gives you some sort of, because there was also discussion about certain applications that some teenagers wanted to make it accessible in Afghanistan. Are we connected
So
still? I think you're
I do have
speaking.
I no, no, I do have data. There is statistics. There's only 30% of Afghanistan has um is using the internet. So that means that there's a lot of room for growth. And I think like
30%.
when you say 30 only, yeah,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there is a lot of
I
room
would,
to grow. And yeah. And I think that
mm-hmm,
when we want people to rise up, if people are not connected to the rest of the world, and if people are not informed about better options, better ways, I think we cannot just expect them to rise up, like if there's no desire to rise up. So I think I'm not talking about financial aid, I'm talking about an
mm-hmm,
investment in them, in their education, and a shift in mindset, so that they we create the desire to rise up. We cannot just wish the people of
mm-hmm,
Afghanistan to rise up. We need to, and I think we do need some help. Every time every other country where we saw a major shift for the better, it wasn't just because of internal forces. It was because of internal and external forces. So I do think that we need also external help to
mm-hmm,
spark at least a desire eventually for this to happen. We cannot just say like, oh, only the people of Afghanistan should do this. I think that we need outside help.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
I have to say something to you. When it comes to the desire to change in Afghanistan, that's a difference with Iran. I don't know how much you know about it. Like in Afghanistan, it's literally about access to finance, access to money. People are like waiting to resisting with fighting back. You have civilians, you have people from military. Today is 28th August, yesterday 27. I know a general who lost every hope with people that are outside, with the diaspora, with those saying that they will, do something about Afghanistan. They are not, they lost every hope from everywhere, right? This person lost 6 people yesterday. That's the saddest part. You might hear it in the news because you have all these different resistant things happening, people being separated from each other, but it's happening everywhere. So the desire is there, the issues, the money, and the upcoming conference in Pakistan, it's actually quiet. It's going to be either Afghanistan makes it or breaks it. This is a huge opportunity for the politicians to source investment for these people. I would say the desire exists there, but separating education, like children for me is a complete different topic. That is a continuous thing. When it comes to their education, nourishing them, providing the right environment, right information, that's like a no negotiation. I would say whatever we can do, we have to do. But when it comes to
okay.
the desire for change, you have to know, Armin, people don't want this. And between deciding between two alternatives, the former republic that was corrupt, failed, and choosing the Taliban that promised them, you will have a normal life again. People chose it, but it doesn't mean they're happy with it.
So you're saying people in Afghanistan don't want the Taliban? They want to fight against the Taliban? Is that what you're telling me?
As for the resistance zone, I can speak only for the non-Pashtuns of Afghanistan. As for Pashtuns, it's
Yeah,
the
okay,
same,
but
but
that's
it's
the
4 years that has
resistance.
passed. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, but the resistance I mean, the resistance obviously by definition they would be against the Taliban, but I don't know if they represent the rest of Afghanistan. Is there a desire to fight against the Taliban in the rest of Afghanistan? And if that's what I'm saying, I think to get Afghanistan back, we can only invest in the future generations of Afghanistan, which is basically investing in the children. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
in the rest of Afghanistan if there is much of a desire to fight against the Taliban. I don't. I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't think there is. I think we, instead of hoping any fight against the Taliban being successful right now, we need to actually create the desire that does not exist right now in Afghanistan in the future
Mm-hmm.
generations of Afghanistan. That's my point, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. As for the resistance, I have to say, if you speak with every person, the thing is, each time when there's a pressure from outside, whether it's cutting the resources, aid, or whether it means deportation, then you see people reacting. And I have noticed that the desire is there. People want change, but the problem is they don't agree who's going to bring the change. A little bit similar to Iran, even though the Shah is completely different. Like I see that the support is huge. I would say the problem, the internal problem, people don't want this regime, but the reason they're not standing up, it has to do with money. The second thing, the trust is gone. People start complicating the issues in Afghanistan. I see the two different layers of issues. One is this project Pashtunizations where you have the hegemon, the hegemons of Afghanistan trying to going in disagreement with the non-Pashtuns of Afghanistan. And then within each ethnic group, you have challenges. The reason the Tajiks hasn't been able to unify on one front, it has different reasons. One of them is that there's a lot of forced propaganda. You have to understand, Armin, something. It's 4 years that time have passed. There's one common thing from facts I know, one common pattern that I see it. The Pashtuns and the Taliban and the Pashtuns, they seem to share one trait in common, and that is to stop any initiative, any resistance, any peace initiative, anything that comes from non-Pashtuns. So that, like, you have to understand, like, that's one layer of issue that needs to be taken out. Like, the national discussions has to stop. The minute that it stops, you will start to see Tajiks is standing behind the current resistance that we have. Whether it's the AAF resistance, the National Front, NRF, I don't remember exactly quite the acronyms, you will see that people will unite behind them. The reason right now you see lack of unity even between Tajiks, it's because a lot of the people are disappointed at the facts that their current leaders don't speak the truth. They don't say that Afghanistan actually is a divided country. It never was a country. The people want to have their own unique identities. They're proud of it. They don't see themselves under the Afghan name, under the existing identity. And the fact that these leaders appear every day, it's like throwing sand in their eyes and saying that we are Afghan, this is our national flag, while in truth and reality, people every day feel it and sense it. I see it at the political level, at the people that are on top. I see the engagements, the interactions, the events happening, what actually the communication. There's like really no unity between the Pashtuns and non-Pashtuns. And when it comes to the public sentiment, if you go join them in their discussions, it's 8 months I'm listening to the people. You already see from social media perspective, right? Like you already see how people are divided. You see them each running a certain community, like different communities on social media. The minute you observe the communities in Afghanistan, you see that the communities are divided by ethnic group. You rarely find Tajiks coming listening to the Pashtun spaces. You rarely see Pashtuns coming and engaging. Like literally they have their communities. The same with Hazaras. Like the three common group I see: Pashtuns, Tajik, and Hazaras. And that already tells you that the country is not united. Like the minute the leaders take a step and say that we need to focus on our own internal issues, try to liberate our land, help our people, build that unity, build that trust between, I would say then the more efficient resistance will be, and people will stand behind them.
So you're against national narratives in Afghanistan. Is that
There is
are
nothing
you?
national, Armin. I used to be, I would say I'm one of the last people in Afghanistan, I would say, from that country that even cares about issues. Like a few months ago, if you would ask me I was an Afghan, I would say, of course, I'm an Afghan. Is your language Persian? No, it's Dari. Like I am one of the people who was brainwashed. I was raised in this time where, majority of people in my time who were raised in the capital with information, the books being published by the existing government, we are brainwashed. There's the whole generation that is brainwashed into accepting that this is our identity, this is who we are, but somehow and instinctively I knew something was not right. Like, the practices doesn't align with you. What you see out there, it's not from you, because at your home, what your family says, what your relative does, it's quite different. Like our identity is not aligned. And I wouldn't have bothered talking about this because I'm Swiss, and in Switzerland we have spent millions to even make, for instance, a TV station for the fourth language of Switzerland to make sure that it's not, extinguished. Like, this is my belief, to keep the diversity respected. It's so beautiful, but the problem is, the minute I understood Afghanistan is an issue that actually is quite serious, the more you ignore it, the worse it got. Like, for 3-4 years, I ignored it. I didn't even join these discussions for a reason. I thought these were petty talks, but the truth is, Armin, the country is divided. There's nothing national about Afghanistan. Speak with any of these people, the only ones say, no, there is national talk, we are united, it's a country, it's going to be the Pashtuns. None others than Pashtuns, especially behind closed door, they will never say that.
So you speak Dari, right?
Farsi, Dari is a dialect, yes.
Yeah, a dialect. And so you're Pashtun, right?
I'm not Pashtun, I'm Tajik. I am actually, I would say, spaghetti
that's
ball.
why I was confused, because you said you're Tajik, and okay, but you speak, okay, that makes sense. So you don't even believe in Afghanistan. You believe in 3 countries. You don't believe Afghanistan is a country. You want to divide it up?
I wouldn't say I believe in 3 countries, because the country will take its natural shape. If you see, definitely the different ethnic groups, they definitely want their autonomy. Like, aside from Pashtun, who wants everything. Everyone else, you do see them that there's already a natural division. The country, like, you see non-Pashtuns to be on one side, the Pashtuns to be on the other side. And I see in the near future, given the depth of the injury, like how much everybody's wounded, it's a little too far for that. Unless the people of Afghanistan believe that they're okay to lose one generation to indoctrination, and they have the time, the luxury to work on Afghanistan, keep its current geography, rather than dividing the tasks so that each of them can focus and be more proactive, more efficient. Otherwise, I think Afghanistan is in any ways going to be destroyed. It's already gone.
So when you speak about the Pashtuns like this, was it because, and you say that they are different, when you're talking about the resistance being there and the desire for fighting back being there, you're specifically talking about your community, Tajik. Now, I think I'm understanding what your perspective a little bit more now, right? So you see your community, the Tajik community, as separate from the Pashtun community, and the Pashtun community are using national language as if you're all the same, but you're not the same. They're their own community, and they're not fighting back, but the Tajik community is fighting back, and you align with that. Is that my proper understanding? Because I'm actually now figuring this out finally. Does that make sense? Like, is that a good description of your views?
When you talk about resistance, it's always coming from resistance zone. In the last 4 years, you never saw the Pashtuns who are opposing the Taliban having their own resistance. If you had anything, any initiative taken by them, look at the forces, look at the people behind it, the people who want to fight. It's the non-Pashtuns. They have the courage, they have the spirit. You saw it in the 90s. What is happening is, Afghanistan is going through cultural renaissance. A lot of people don't understand that. And I get it, because this is like literally first time I'm speaking about this in English. You hear these discussions if you understand Persian, if you listen to the communications from different sources, listen to the Pashtuns, listen to the Tajiks, like go and visit all these different communities. There's different level of conversations. You have the political level, you have the street boys, you have the academic ones getting together and isolating marginalizing others. You get to have this understanding that Afghanistan actually, when it comes to resistance, people fighting, including the last 20 years during the Republic time, it was the non-Pashtuns, mostly from the resistance zone.
Right.
So there's no hope from, if you find any Pashtun fighter, sorry to say, you find them near the Taliban. They always defend there's someone who wants to commit suicide, it comes from a certain background.
So are you suggesting that what you're hoping for is Afghanistan having the non-Pashtun part becoming a semi-autonomous, or actually a clear? Do you think there needs to be a clear division and secede are you a cessationist basically? Do you think we need to cut Afghanistan in two countries, the Pashtun side and the non-Pashtun side? Or are you more interested in just giving more autonomy to the non-Pashtun side of Afghanistan?
I would say autonomy to everyone, like, fight for each other's freedom. Afghanistan is a land of everybody. I mean, this geography, it belongs to everyone living there, and you really have a lot of diversity from family to family, community to community, let alone about provinces, let alone about ethnic groups. The thing is, as long as you have people to accept and agree that everybody's freedom, them being themselves, like you can have all your right, everything you want to do, everything you want to be, as long as you don't take others' right. To come to that kind of conscious, I would say it's naive to believe we can get there. We tried it 200 years, it didn't work.
But
So
even if
Afghanistan
you want to
needs
give,
to.
yeah, go on. Sorry, there's a delay. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that for Afghanistan, it's not about wanting or not wanting, it's about what is practical. Because you already see the division among the people, and you definitely know there's going to be no concessions in the near future. You cannot have a strong alternative as long as you work with people who you don't align with. Like there's a real divisions. Like look at just, let's say example, like recent example of social media. Fawzia Kufi, a prominent Tajik woman, taking the initiative to start political discussions with Pakistan. On the other side, her counterpart, who almost is in this every decision-making table or discussion table, Shukriya Barakzai, the minute she hears about it, she starts sabotaging the discussion, and the meeting is delayed. We still don't know for what reason, but it's because the division exists. And what I believe is the unity has to come from heart, but also when it comes to what kind of country future shape Afghanistan's map will take, it should happen naturally on its own. And what I see it, that the non-Pashtuns seems to align much better, either because of language, because of shared suffering, because each of them, let's say you have 14 different ethnic groups that are recognized in Afghanistan, but then you have one ethnic group using their own identity and forcing it on other 14 ethnic group, the country's currency, the country's name, the country's political identity, the country's national dress, the country's national music, all coming from one particular tribe, ethnic group. And they ignore everybody else's desire. Like for me, you could just, keep hitting your head against the wall. You can never expect a real genuine unity with that kind of country. So that attitude has to drop. The sooner the Pashtuns drop, the sooner they can save Afghanistan and keep Afghanistan as the way it is. Like respect people's desire. If people say, I'm not an Afghan, if they say that I'm not an Afghan and my national identity is A and B, C, my mother tongue is this, just respect it. Accept it. Don't say unless you accept that you're an Afghan, then I will work with you and then have a strong alternative against the Taliban. Like this is the common thing Pashtuns are saying, but that has to change.
So you wouldn't say that you're an Afghan? Would you say that?
I am a Swiss. I have chosen my identity, but a country that I was born, it's Afghanistan. And if you're asking about my ethnicity, I'm a Tajik, and my DNA says that.
Okay. So what about the Tajik people in Afghanistan? Do a lot of them, if I ask them if you're an Afghan, like the Tajik people who are born in Afghanistan and lived all their lives in Afghanistan, if I go ask them, are you an Afghan? What would they say to me? Many of them.
I would say if you do right now in front of the Taliban and other Pashtuns, even their neighbors who are their friends, I don't think they would dare to say that. But if you online, if you speak with them, you hear it, yes. There's
That
like people are waking up every day because look, Armin, since 1990s, like what happened with the resistance in Afghanistan, the defeating the Soviet Union, because the real patriots of Afghanistan, like coming from the northern zone, these people are like those who did not want foreign interference in Afghanistan. Now, when I look back, as someone whose father was a member of the let's say a normal army in the communist regime, not communist regime, but under Najibi's regime back in the day, and me choosing who actually were right in Afghanistan or not, and supporting Mujahideen because I see them being the real patriots. They're not like the Taliban. They don't want to interfere in other countries' affairs. They're just like people who, want to cherish and value their, to keep, safeguard their values. And I believe in democracy. Democracy means let people be the way they want to live. If they evolve, they will evolve the way they are. So the thing is, since that, people in Afghanistan started to notice, oh, we are actually have been living in this country and we have been played out. And the more Pashtuns start pushing more in terms of engineering the demography in Afghanistan, engineering the identity, the more people started feeling resentful and pushing back. So in the last 20 years, you had people like Dr. Pedram coming to the scene. You had lots of people resisting on the streets, civilian resistance, coming and saying that we are not Afghan. Afghan is not our identity. We have our distinct culture. We have a rich history of, from Iran, from Persia. And that was always hit back by the government. The government tried to censor it. And that's why if you see the collapse of the regime, it has to do a lot because of the ethnic division. One side not accepting the freedom of other sides who want to choose their own identity, safeguard their own cultures, heritage. That was the biggest cause.
So are the Tajiks in Afghanistan less Islamic than the Pashtun?
I would not say that. When it comes to Islam, I would say you can't really say that, because I look at the facts. When a war between India and Pakistan broke, and when the war between Israel and Gaza broke, you could see who in Afghanistan was siding with who. So I would say Pashtuns are, as hegemons of Afghanistan, as the ones influencing international countries in terms of narrative of Afghanistan, it was always Pashtuns. So the Pashtuns knew the geopolitical game better than the non-Pashtuns. That's what I realized in the last few months alone. So they knew immediately, okay, if the regime in Iran falls, it's good for us because it would also hurt the Taliban. If Israel is fighting with Palestine, it's good for us. We need to side with the Israelis. If Pakistan and India are fighting, we need to support India. So this happened, and then you could see the Tajiks were more siding towards Islam, but there's a difference. Their Islam is not the same version of Islam Taliban are practicing. The Taliban are like the suicide bombers. They believe in extreme things. But on the other side, and among the Tajiks, you don't find that. But for them, it's like a culture. It's something just that they value. It doesn't necessarily mean they're radicals.
So that I would say that's less Islamic.
Yes, yes.
Okay. But between Palestine and Israel, you said who sides with Israel? I think you meant Palestine, right? Like you said Israel.
Palestine, Palestine. Yeah, Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, okay.
I would try to be cautious of the words that we use, because if you say Palestinian, somebody gets offended. If you say people from Gaza, someone else. I would say that it was mostly the Pashtuns because they knew the geopolitical game. So now you see the impact of IRI on Afghanistan, on Tajiks, because the Islamic regime, you know how they have been being behind the scene in terms of October 7 and why they did it, for who they did it. A lot of people have short memory, they forget it. They forget that Ukraine had a war with Russia, Russia had with them, right? They needed to distract the world. Something else had to happen. And who was ready to start this thing October 7? IRI had a lot to do with it. So because of the connection, the bond that the Tajiks have with Iran, and that's what I noticed, that our people really follow the clock of Iran. Whatever Iran says in terms of religion, even though the people are Sunni, somehow there's a mix of a bond because of the shared culture and the religion. So people sided with IRI and with Palestinians because that's what they believe. But the Pashtuns, because they don't have that kind of cultural connection with the Iranians, they didn't feel like that. Like they knew immediately who's the enemy, who's the foe, who's the friend.
But that doesn't make, I mean, I'm trying to, by the way, I'm learning a lot from you. This is completely new, interesting, new territory.
For me, it's also difficult because depending on the level
Yeah.
of your understanding from me, am I supposed to say everything that I know? Am I supposed to go describe back the details? Because it seems like
Yeah.
you're not
But
quite aware of what's
but
happening.
yeah, but you're educating me. Thank you so much. I'm
It's
grateful
both
for
way.
all
It's
this
both
information.
way.
Yeah, okay. So, but would one thing that you suggested that is confusing, you're saying that the Islamic
Mhm.
Republic has influence over the if I understood you correctly, has influence over the Tajik population in Afghanistan because of the cultural Persian ties. Okay, this is weird to me because back in Iran, our government hates Persian culture. They actually are fighting against the people because the people want the Persian culture, and we the Iranian people, when they want to do more of the Persian culture, they get hit in the head, they get suppressed because they're trying to use Islamic culture as a way to basically reduce the influence of Persian culture, right? So when you say that the Islamic Republic, the IRGC in Afghanistan, you're saying the Tajiks are getting close to our government because of Persian culture? Like, do they not know that our government is actually anti-Persian culture? Like, I don't know. Like,
Thank
this is
you.
confusing. Can you tell?
You hit the nail.
Okay.
That's the thing. No, they did not know. And I can tell you
Okay.
until today, especially when the recent war broke between Israel and Iran, that's when I really understood people's sentiment because they were discussing more. For me, it was a lot of aha moments, my own prejudice that I had. I realized where we were getting the news all these years. Where was it coming from? Who did we believe? It's your regime, but your regime censoring Persian culture in Iran does not mean the same thing that, if your neighbor thinks you're the protector, the guy who safeguards Iran's heritage, you will not go to them and tell them that, "Oh, you did not know that." This is such a, it was mind-blowing for me that even until today, the reason feel like they needed to protect Iran, listen to the Tajik space is what they say. They thought because everyone wants to kill Iran, its heritage. They want, if this regime goes away, it's the end of this civilization. This is what Tajiks believe until today. Until today. And if you look at the actions of Iran, what Iran did, they were quite smart. They were quite smart, like keeping us as ally. You could feel like the people have been throughout the history very much confused because that's Islam Shia in Iran. So people were like, they are more close with Hazaras than us. But then when it comes to the culture, Iran's civilization, if you look at the Tajiks, they're really extremely proud, but they misunderstood who safeguards it. Like for me, I woke up to this reality a few months ago when I paid attention to Iran, tried to understand more what's happening. I was shocked because I saw the real guardians of this Persian culture, especially, a culture that stands for life. That matters to me, nothing else. One celebrates it, and then you have other cultures, every culture is different. I have no problem with it. But this is something worth saving, preserving. And I realized that, oh my God, this government is now doing that. They never did it.
So we need to. Okay, first of all, let me tell you. I think many Iranians don't know that their government is actually promoting Persian culture outside of our border, because that would be mind blowing to us. Because back in within the borders,
Why do you think
they're
there's
against it.
loyalty? There's loyalty
So
because
so
of
so
that. Because the
we
narrative, so
need to
if you
basically
try to
connect the
understand,
we need to connect the Tajiks from Afghanistan to Iranians, the Iranian people, because I think both sides they need to find each other, because the Tajiks need to realize, the Tajiks in Afghanistan need to realize that the Persian culture that they cherish so much has been under attack by the government that they're supporting, and the Iranian people need to know that their government is actually using the Persian culture in Tajikistan. That's a huge thing. That's like this is mind blowing to me. We need to build a bridge between these people.
that's what I've been actually doing. Since I started to knowing, for
Okay.
me, it was quite confusing because I see right now the alternative to Taliban, they're fighting the same oppression that the people of Iran are fighting. But I was shocked when I saw them supporting the IRGC against Israel, like the IRGC against the people of Iran. And the more I dig then, and I also realized actually IRGC was so smart that during the wartime, they were speaking in the native language, like, using certain words, talking about Shahnama too much on the TV. If you notice that they were trying hard to also connect with your own people to show them we are the guardians of the Persian culture. If we are
Yes,
gone, the world
but
is attacking you, the Jews are attacking you. Like, this is the narrative, Armin. You need to understand what our people believe, what I understood from their sentiment. They feel like the Jews are the bad guys they have always been. And remind me who told us this. Palestine is there, Israel is there. Okay, Quran says 100 different things, but in Quran you have many other things that you need to be reminded of. Who was telling you always about the Jews? They are the bad guys, they're attacking us, they're taking the country, they're destroying you, they're destroying the Tajiks, this Persian civilization. Who did that? Like, this is the reason why people felt even, for me, I was shocked. I was shocked. I felt there's a huge level of hypocrisy. I had even issues with some of the politicians. From one side, you're telling me
right,
you are fighting for the same thing these people do. But from the other side, rather than being neutral, none of your business. Afghanistan already has a huge problem. You should focus on your country. Do not, give opinions about other countries' affairs. You don't know what the people go through. But then seeing
right.
them, some of them publishing a statement condemning Israel, not understanding that this initiative has been done by the people of Iran, the people wanting this to happen. They sought help from outside.
What?
So that was for me a
Well,
bit
I mean, you
challenge,
mean
but
the
I would say
Islamic Republic?
yes. Yes,
Yeah,
the Islamic Republic, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, we Iranians
Wow,
are
it
very
seems like we
sensitive about
decoded
separate.
something. I'm very,
Yes, yes. By the way, let me tell you, the Iranians some Iranians in the chat are shocked as well. Like some of they're writing in Persian, they're shocked about what you're saying as well. But
I
let me
can't see
actually.
anything, so
Oh, it's okay. So let me actually tell you, back in Iran, when the government tries to use patriotic rhetoric and ancient Persian culture, it's only when they are being attacked and they need the support of the people, right? And then they go back to their Islamism, right? And for example, during the 12-day war when Israel was attacking the Islamic Republic, all of a sudden the Islamic Republic started talking about Shahnameh. They had the
I
images
saw it.
of the Shahnameh heroes. Yeah, so that's what you were referring to. But the Iranian people, they make fun of them. They call them 12-day patriots. So that's what the Iranian people call the government. Like, so the Iranian people
It
know
has been done
better.
before too.
Yes, because it has been done. Because we have had so many times where all of a sudden the Islamic Republic became patriotic for some reason. I mean, we know for what reason, because they needed the support of the people, and then as soon as it was over, they went back to being anti-patriotic. But what can we do to inform the Tajik people? Because it seems like this is a key solution here to go to the Tajik people in Afghanistan and show that you need to support the Iranian people against the Islamic Republic, not the Islamic Republic, because the Iranian people will see eye to eye with, like, if but the Iranian people, if they see a group of people somewhere like celebrating Shahnameh and Ferdowsi and Cyrus the Great and all of the Persian culture, they will fall in love with them, and they will do everything to support them. Like this, there will be no bond. Great. I mean, a lot of the reason, one reason why so many Iranians are now supporting Israel is ever since they realized that Israelis celebrate Cyrus the Great. That has been like, oh my God, we love Israelis just because that, right? So, but I mean, do Tajiks in Afghanistan, do they celebrate Cyrus the Great?
I would say the one that are well informed than me, because I was the typical brainwashed kid. So I would say a lot of people that I've came into contact, especially if anywhere you see the name Tajik, if you see their visit spaces like Panjshiri Tajik, people from the north, all of them seem to be culturally quite aware. And you have
Right.
people that explode if you say one bad word about it. So yes, yes.
Okay, so they do. They
This is
do.
their
They
culture.
see
That's
a
what they're fighting. That's actually also what
that,
kept these people being brainwashed by the Taliban. It could have happened faster. But
right.
these people remember that we have a civilization. We are part of something greater and we stood for life, not for the thing that they see
And
right now. If it wasn't for the history, believe me, Armin, Afghanistan would have been already gone. If it wasn't for history of Iran, for this rich history that is actually something to be proud, I think people would have easily fallen prey to the Taliban.
Okay, so beyond just being informed about Cyrus the Great, I'm just trying to understand this. Do they see a cultural?
Mhm.
Do the Tajik people in Afghanistan do they see a cultural connection to Cyrus the Great?
I believe so. I'm the least informed. I would say
Yeah.
maybe you have to speak with some of the people that I've been learning from.
Okay,
You have many of them everywhere on the internet. But
because
I
that
would
has done
say I still know very
wonders.
little. Hmm.
Because that has done wonders for creating the bond between Israelis and Iranians. I just was
Hmm.
wondering if we could do the same thing in the Tajik part of Afghanistan.
The thing is, yes, a lot of people have to be, what should be done in Afghanistan, which I believe in terms of raising awareness, is to show them what Iran did. It was, how can I describe this in an easy manner? That they really hide behind, they're hypocrites. What they did, especially when it comes to Islam, like using Islam in so many ways and doing the worst thing, which normally our people think is forbidden, working with drugs, enabling the Taliban whenever they could. If they had an issue with the former republic, they would work with some of the Taliban. When it comes to, you know, causing causing tensions in different countries, Iran had a lot to do. And the fact that, like a lot of people in my country are not aware of that, it bothers me a lot too. But I think the more you expose what IRGC did and how actually they have tensions with Saudi Arabia, with other countries, and the more people understand that there has been always competition, fight for power, the more they will realize actually it was all a lie. And they will start
It's
to see that,
interesting.
this whole narrative right now, if Tajiks have issues even with, supporters of Shah, it's because of the Jews. And why do you hate the Jews? You had nothing to do. Your forefathers had nothing to do with them. And if you go on, if you discuss with me about the history, about everything, you see that you're on the wrong side. If we have time to describe that, you will understand that. So like, it's just like people need to understand where that information came from. Why do you start to, hate the Shah supporters, for instance, or the people of Iran? Why do you think all of this is bad or this is good? The minute I think we have those conversations, more of it in Persian, people will start to connect the dots. They will definitely see how we have been influenced and what's the next step.
It's interesting because I'm doing researching here as you're speaking, and it seems like the Tajiks in Afghanistan are much more like the Shahnameh is much more central to them than Cyrus the Great. So Shahnameh seems to be the main point of connection that we could make here, more than Cyrus the Great. By the way, this
I
is
would
giving me a lot of
say
hope. Yeah, go on.
I would be surprised that you don't know. I'm really still surprised because I don't know a lot about the people of Iran either. I mean, I have an interaction, I see the messages, I skim the communication, especially those influential figures. And for me, it's quite important to understand the public sentiment, the common people's sentiment in the region. And all I see is people who want to live. And the other
Yeah.
side for me, I don't need to spend my time to think what. Anyone who stands for life, that's enough for me to know that these are the people that deserve to be supported. So I think having more
You know what?
conversations on this.
I'm so shocked that you're saying that. I'm so pleasantly happy that you say team. You're talking about people who are for life, because that has been the motto of this channel, that we're on team life versus people who are in the cult of death. And again, basically, that's the main difference maker. We are basically are trying to find people who are fighting for life. But the thing that Shabnam, the things that you're telling me, because I was not very optimistic about Afghanistan, but now, like as you're
Ah,
speaking, and I'm looking this up, this culture, this Shahnameh centrist culture, that is a seed that we could work with. That is what we need to focus on. That's the bridge that
Armin,
we were
I'm,
looking
I'm,
for.
as much as you're shocked, I'm also shocked because it tells me that you really still don't see the other connection. Do you know what Tajikistan is doing? Like these three countries
Yes,
really,
I know
it's
Tajikistan. I do.
prosperity, saving the civilization. I mean, standing for life, for humanity. These three countries are all three vulnerable. They have the same enemy, the same thing to fight.
Yeah.
And I think the shared culture, this would be definitely a strength that we have to focus. I was just reading the other day that Tajikistan somehow have wants to make sure, if I understood correctly, the news, that every family gets to have two shahnama, which is interesting, you know. I'm not for forcing anything, but something that maybe can help you a little bit about people in Afghanistan, especially the Tajiks. The reason, if they, why they feel supportive of or they feel attached to Islamic identity, think of our poets, the Persian poets. Whether you talk about Rumi, whether you talk about anyone who actually, they followed that. So even if they're kind of, some of these people are wide awake, they don't accept the Islamic narrative, they see the power play behind it. But because of the cultural relationship, because these poets have, you know, sung that had to do with God, even though, you know, depends on the meaning, how you listen to it, what you understand. So that really resonates with them. Like their kind of Islam that they follow, it's the pure one, the nice one. It's not this, you know, ISIS style, the Taliban style. Like when I talk with Mujahideen, even now with ex-Mujahideens, with the people who were there, very religious figures, what I understand is that um, for them, like all these things are forbidden. Like they don't do that. They don't accept that. They don't acknowledge what ISIS did with Yazidi women. They don't like when it comes to, you know, the topic of suicide bombing. When you look at the other tribe in Afghanistan, like some of their people, like suicide bombing, it's Islamic, it's important. I would say, you know, history has to do everything. Some countries like, you know, like Iran is safe because of its rich history. Otherwise, with a regime like that dictating every aspect of your life and trying to brainwash you, indoctrinate you, the people of Iran would not be in a better place than us. But us, because we are, you know, in a spaghetti bowl of different ethnic groups, only us, the majority, I would say because of the culture ties that we have with Iran, you know, we could keep that. Otherwise, yeah.
So um that's very interesting. So you see a lot of power in historic cultural roots, and you think that's the point of the identity. That, I mean, I wouldn't call it an ethnic identity, because I think it's a cultural identity, because it's not
Cultural
tied to blood.
identity.
Yes, a cultural
Yeah, yeah.
identity. And you think it's the way I see it, and I think you might not see it that way, but I think it's the Persian culture versus Islam. That's the fight. Would you see it like that? Persian culture, basically, it's the Shahnameh
In
versus the Quran.
Afghanistan, you mean the entire country you're
No,
talking about?
in Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Iran, and basically this entire region.
Yes, it
Like
is.
the
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is fight with the cultural identity and Islam. And yeah,
so you have reframed, because the way I look at it, okay, you try to fight it somehow, is the Quran versus, I don't know, John Locke, okay, or liberal values of the Western liberal values, right? But you have opened my eyes to another fight that we could actually win against Islam. So it's not is which is the Quran versus the Shahnameh. And I think you're right. That's the winning fight here. That is the winning fight, and that's the fight of these three countries together: Afghanistan,
it
Iran, and
is.
Tajikistan. Yes.
That's the one that I've been starting talking about this. This is like a shift that a lot of people, like if this changes, a lot of things changes. The people, what can I tell you? I would say take a lot of precaution with countries that are less educated. We both know why when it comes to the Taliban, why they don't allow education, right? Otherwise, they will end up like the IRGC, like this Islamic Republic. When your people are smart, they don't fall for your control freak strategies. They don't fall for you saying the Jews are the bad guys, we the Muslims are the people, this and that. But then in practice, you see we're the most violent people. We are driven by hate because we teach our families, our children hate. It's sad. I would say what I'm doing, even I really want to respect their, you know, the time that they need to evolve to see what I see. If I say, Armin, I was used to be a very radical Muslim. That 5 years of the Taliban regime, the wartime that I was born in, the environment, it actually impacted me a lot more than my other family. My family members would be calling me Bibi Haji just as a joke, because I would be going extra mile doing things that I was not supposed to do, like, fasting 3 days in a row without eating. Um, like for me, I went the extreme mile, but then the environment that I lived, right? Like different changes, the opportunities I had to go and get education in South Korea, go to the Europe, to come to Switzerland, also having an open mind to listen to different people of different religions and faiths. I think for me, and then there were two books that shifted my opinion. So what I understand is it takes a lot of time. When you immediately go say this to people, they're not ready. They don't understand what happened. For me, it's like the idea is I really believe in respecting, in democracy. And I believe if someone is still, see this as something sacred, it means a lot for them. I want to give them this space. The most important thing is to these Muslims that they have to learn everyone exists. It's not just them. There has to be red line. You cannot interfere in my life, in what I do, what I believe. It's a personal thing. And I completely respect you the way you are, who you are. Especially for Afghanistan, this is very important. Also for the Tajiks, because like I told you, for them, culture and religion is quite mixed. Also because of these poets that we share, because of, it's part of them. But they're starting to understand. That's the most important thing. The more we communicate, like yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go. No, no, I thought you were finished. Go ahead. I'm
Like
gonna
one
write it
of
down.
the feedback I have been giving to the people in Iran is that I think you guys need to communicate more with the Muslims inside your country and outside. Because if you remember, when the war between Israel and Iran started, you saw that the whole region was sort of divided between Muslims from any corner of the world condemning Israel, and then the non-Muslims supporting Israel. So it was like you could see that there's a lot of misunderstanding. I was suggesting to some of the pro-Shah supporters or some of the people that I love them just because they really stand for life. They don't support extremism. One of the things I told them, like, I think you need to show them more there has been years of misinformation, disinformation. These people don't know a
Right.
lot of things. Help them a little bit. Like, give them more information, because whatever you say, they see it as something like an attack to their identity. They think that they have absorbed as
Right.
identity. So like I'm literally taking the space, having the distance, respecting the people.
So,
But that's a recipe for my country with my people.
so I think the fight. I mean, I think it's a recipe for both of our countries, actually, Shabnam. I mean, because I'll let you know what happened in my country, in Iran, right? So with this, so I think it's a battle between the Persian poets versus the Islamic prophets. Okay, and I understand that many
Yes.
people admire both of them. However, once you start celebrating more and more and enriching the Persian poet culture more than the Islamic prophet culture, even though some people admire both, when one side grows so much, the other side becomes less and less relevant. And I'm not talking about people just like leaving Islam. I'm talking about people taking the Islamic side less seriously because they have a much stronger identity. So they might have a Muslim identity, but they also have like a Persian identity or a Tajik identity. The fight is not like you have to say no to your Muslim identity. The fight is that we will keep working on the culture until that your Tajik or your basically your cultural identity. I don't want to call this ethnic identities, right? The cultural identity
Mhm.
becomes a much more meaningful and stronger part of your identity. And I think when you do that, even if people remain Muslim, because their main identity is something non-Islamic, it changes the
Mhm.
society and people become a lot more open-minded.
I think I completely agree with you. Some of,
Okay.
I will try to also maybe share something, maybe it helps some of the people, if in case they're listening, like those from our countries, those who still are confused between, religion and all that. Like I'm a seeker, like I've been seeking a lot. I would say I'm in the Elon Musk state of situation when it comes to existence of God. But two things that really helped me, I think, especially for people that have been indoctrinated. There's a book called Celestial Prophecy. It's a very small novel. It's not a huge one. I would say, I think our people, because these books are definitely censored. Like for me, I know everyone have their method to wake up. For me, that was mind blowing. And like for 5 years, I was loving
Oh,
everything. It was challenged basically because it really shows you, you know, how we are being controlled. Like I think the minute you read that book, you will look at the Taliban differently. You will look at any mullah, whether even if it's a priest, doesn't matter from which religion, anyone who has the intention of abusing, the intention of controlling you, I think you will wake up. You will not look at them the same way. And I think that really helped me to kind of make sense of at least how we have been manipulated. The next phase for me was, you know, because at the end of the day, we human being want an answer. I think the second book that was mind opening, and finally I was able to make sense of all these different religions, why all these religions are out there, and which one is the right one or not. It was Think and Grow Rich, which had nothing to do with religion. But there in the beginning of the chapters, there's some key information. The minute people understand about it, it discusses Prophet Muhammad and Jesus Christ, then it tells you something. Once people read that one phrase, I think it will change your mind. Then you will see actually people will make whatever, you know, interpretation they get from that away. For some, they're the smartest humans on the earth, some of them like Einstein, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, who were connected to the universal mind, to the God. For some, they see them, you know, what the religious book describe it. For some people, they're just con artists of their time. No disrespect, but it's just like it helps people to see the ones, especially looking at issues from one ideology, to just to start to see you're living in a matrix. There are different ideologies, right? For everyone to connect to the God, you have different methods work for you. So I think that is, I think for people like in our country, that's an important step. The minute they get that, the
well,
rest is
but
easy.
you're excluding atheists though. Afghanistan has a atheist population that doesn't believe in God as well. I'm in touch with atheists from Afghanistan, so include them as
And
well.
no harm. It also includes them, no harm. It's the idea is that you will stop, even like, you know, woke. We know about woke, right? This is a religion of
Yeah.
itself. It replaced Christianity or Judaism or other religions in other countries. Like, you know, that mindset is, it's also like a religion for some people. I mean, we see it as outside. When you look at it, it's an ideology, it just replaced religion. But
Well, Shabnam, how I don't know how good is your. I mean, I'm not gonna assume you speak fluent Persian. Like, if can we like, if I speak to you in Persian,
in Afghanistan is dialect, I would say, yes, albata. Yeah.
من الان صحبتی که با شما میکنم و خوب میفهمید هر چی که من دارم میگم و متوجه هستین؟
دقیقاً بله بله منتها
Okay.
ما به زبان
Well,
به لهجه دری که در افغانستان صحبت میکنیم خدا کنه معنایشو بفهمی اگه نفهمیدی و دیگه ای که من بسیار زیاد دوست دارم که کتابی صحبت نکنم. Can I be myself?
okay.
All
Yes,
right,
of
let's
course.
go.
Would you come? No, well, I mean, here people won't understand us, but I also have a Persian channel, and I would be honored to have you as a guest on our Persian channel because I think a lot of the things that we're saying here, the nuance of it would
It's
actually
relevant
be
to them.
understood. Yes,
It's relevant to
it's
them,
very
I know.
relevant. Yes, yes, and I think right now the Islamic Republic is actually making turning us against each other right now. The people of
I
Iran are
see,
turning against it. Yeah, so
I
I
see.
think if you come on the Persian channel and we talk about Shahnameh on the Persian channel and the love that the people, the Tajiks in Afghanistan have for Shahnameh, that would be mind blowing to the people of the on the Persian channel. And I think that would be
You
it
have
would
lovers more than me. They're like more smart people who know more about it. Like people inside Afghanistan. My uncle is
right.
one of them. I didn't know what Shahnama was until I came to the Netherlands, and he reminded me, like he was correcting me. I would say Pahantun, and he's like Danishka. Like literally, when it comes to culture, to who we are, our identity, the things that has been censored for years, you have a generation of diaspora, like the Tajiks that live abroad. They are more well informed, but also inside the country, and nowadays because of social media, even the diaspora who was like me brainwashed. But you have many, many, many people that I would say I would introduce you to them because they can really contribute better in terms of letting people to see actually the connection. And I think vice versa for the people in Afghanistan, I really want them to see this side of Iran and to come up to the terms with themselves
So
that
so we could do this together. We could do this together. Like me, you could come to the Persian channel, and I mean, I
let's
think
do
you could
it.
be a. Let's do it. Yeah, I think we could like help create a bond here. We could build a bridge here
I've been
between
looking for
your
it.
people
I knew
and.
this was the first step. I've been looking for that. Yeah.
Okay, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Fantastic. Okay, so Shabnam, I took a lot of your time. I'm sorry that I went above the time that I told you. I do have some super chats. Some of them are for you. Do you mind if I read them to you?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So first one is by James. James is saying, was it wrong for the U.S. to leave Afghanistan? Should the U.S. return? How many Afghans support Taliban-like ideology? I think we already addressed that. And how can the Taliban be removed? So do you want to quickly
Lots of
respond to some
amazing
of that?
questions. You know, there's a saying they say when you know something too much, you think everyone else knows it. Sometimes I feel topics like this, I have to talk more about the details because I have a very different take. Like I have studied the people of Afghanistan quite well in the last 8 months, seriously. When it comes to, I mean, serious research, not just, focusing on my own assumptions, but it's about the perspective that I see. I would say for the health of Afghanistan, what the US did was they had to do it. You couldn't just continue, this warmongering factory, the military industrial complex. We all know it. The only one who got hurt, who got benefited, it was these warmongers, lobbyists, and all that. It was only people on all fronts, whether the US, also the soldiers on both sides in Afghanistan and outside in the US and the NATO member state, they were the one paying the price. They should have done that long ago. And it was a good thing because you can't keep a country that is not united. If it's not getting the unity from inside, no amount of power from outside can fix that. The only thing is that what was bad is that there was no commitment, no one from the US side to hold the Taliban accountable to their promises. And doing it abruptly, which, there were lots of sad, tragic stories around that. I would say those were the two bad sides. But I have a very different take. When we have time, I can talk about that. Sorry, that was like just the first question. Was it wrong for the US to leave Afghanistan? No. Should it return? I would say I don't trust on foreign support and relying on foreign support. I see that the people, after these few years of being neglected, I see them starting to fight with nothing, especially when it comes to Tajik. If you understand the internal issues that I know, I'm a mother and I know the fear of the father and the mother there. Like the last person, they're just like ready to do anything because they don't accept what's happening. It's tragic. Um, like horrible things are happening, but because we see so much of it, it becomes so common. I would rather not talk about that. What I know is it's the issue of the money and the children. Like they need to focus on that. If you take that away, people will start fighting and resisting. But if you think that foreigners would come and do it and it will help the country to go in a good direction, I wouldn't believe that. The only thing they need is the resources. Because right now, everything that was left of the US, it has gone to the hands of the Taliban. How many Afghans support Taliban like ideology? And how can the Taliban be removed? How many
I
Afghans
actually
support
looked
the
this up.
Taliban?
The person. I'm actually shocked that it's very low. Um,
No,
it
nobody.
was
I told
yeah.
you, Armin, in the beginning, people, the Republic really failed the people. They broke the
So
trust. Go ahead.
13%. It's 13%. 1-3
Mhm.
in 2019. 13.
I mean, I wasn't surveyed, even though I'm a diaspora, so I don't know if it's including everyone. But if I look at the general sentiment, especially even among Pashtuns, the Taliban majority Pashtuns. I mean, the whole ideology, everything comes from the
Yeah.
south, from that region. But you see that none of them support because one thing Taliban actually did differently, because it's made up. It's made up for a purpose. It's a group made up for
It's
a
Pashtun
purpose.
supremacy. It's Pashtun supremacy.
That too, but they don't care about their own Pashtuns either, because it's, you know, a tribal
Oh,
fight for power and something like that. So if I answered your question, like you don't see that, not
yeah.
a lot of people, they had no choice. The country was corrupt. Politicians were not
Okay.
available. Nobody was accountable. Nobody was responding to the people. Brutal things were happening, including my uncle being kidnapped, who was a nobody, but just in the wrong town, wrong place, legs broken, and nobody even followed that, nothing. And I heard that that was an average case in Afghanistan. So that what people had to choose between something. They chose the Taliban. But the next step,
Right.
how to defeat the Taliban, if you ask me, I know the answers more than anyone else, I would say, because when I look at the inside discussions among the politicians, I mean, anything big move that you see around surrounding Afghanistan, none of them understand or have the courage to do what has to be done or should have been done long ago. People of Afghanistan, the alternatives to the Taliban. I would say anyone who do not want Afghanistan to go to extremism, go down road, what they have to do is find the natural unity line. Halt all the national discussions. It's not effective. It's consuming a lot of the energy of Pashtun people, especially because they seem to be putting their nose in every non-Pashtun's affairs, whether there's some initiative, something taken by Uzbeks, something done by Turks or Hazaras. You see the Pashtuns using that energy rather than fighting the Taliban, the people who come from themselves, because it's a tribal issue. Rather than doing that, they spread their energy quite narrow across different issues. I think the best efficient way is if you want unity, you need to build trust. And the trust only comes when you respect the people's wishes to have their autonomy in terms of identity, culture, and all that. If someone raises a different flag compared to your previous national flag, it does not automatically mean Afghanistan is going to separate itself. It just means this country is made up of different cultures. Each one have their unique identity. They express it through something. You just have to acknowledge it, accept it, and divide the tasks, each one liberating their lands. That is possible. And I give my bet on the non-Pashtuns of Afghanistan. They will do it.
Okay. I have 8 more questions. So if you could give me
Oh
short
my God.
responses to the
Okay.
rest of
I will do that.
short response to each one. Okay. Okay. So Yusuf saying the Islamic Republic has been persecuting Afghans. Well, I mean, the Islamic Republic has used mass migration from Afghanistan into Iran to make Iranians hate upon the many Iranians hate upon the Afghans, so that when the mass migration gets so high, then the Islamic Republic steps in and acts like a hero and kicks them out to basically it causes a problem and then fixes it to actually act like it's a hero whenever it needs the support of the people. So yeah, we need to address that because there's a lot of unfortunately anti-Afghan hate growing inside in Iran because of what the Islamic Republic is doing by just bringing mass migration from Afghanistan to Iran. So there is,
Can I
but
correct you with something, Armin? I do
correct me, yes,
believe in
please.
respecting people. So just out of respect, I think the least we can do for the entire people of Afghanistan, since the people hasn't, they have been out loud saying it, but there has been no reaction from those on top. I think out of respect, let's start calling rather than saying Afghan or women or Afghan women, we would say people of Afghanistan, because there's a huge, a
Okay.
serious call. People have lost a lot of life in this cause. You have young people coming, resisting on social media, talking about it, raising awareness, waking up people. Even the Pashtuns have to start to see the mistakes are their allies, like what went wrong. As a result, everybody paid the price. So I would say just let's say it's not Afghans, but back to the question, back to the comment that
Question
he's
is Afghan insulting? Is the word Afghan insulting, or are you saying it because you
no,
don't
no, it's just
no?
an identity of the Pashtuns, and I personally have no problem. It's a beautiful thing. I
I
want
see.
even the people who resist, I want them to respect that. It's their identity. You can't take it away. It's good you
Okay.
don't want it, you don't accept it, but don't disrespect them.
I see.
So
I
no,
see.
it's just that
I
you
see.
have,
Okay.
when we talk about the people, it's the people of Afghanistan. Um,
I see.
I
Okay.
think the point I understand what has been happening. If you notice, the Tajiks of Afghanistan, they're the one acknowledging this, but in a very intimidated manner or quietly, they kind of understand that we have been a burden. Iranian people have been kind to us for a long time. This is the common message you hear. Almost, I find no one among us that actually says this was bad, what happened. It was bad, it was brutal. And I understood. I think a lot of them also saw the game Iranian regime was playing. Like in every country, if you look at it, immigration issue is the best way for politicians to satisfy the people who want to revolt. The best thing you can do is, like, they knew it's a lot much easier just to kick out the people, and they did it, which was inhuman. But honestly, who am I supposed to blame but our own leaders in Afghanistan? I will not give the blame. Iranian people had a lot of their own problems. They still have. With everything that is going on, from one side, you're fighting an extremist government. From the other side, you have people who seemingly share the same culture with you, but you have been divided by a border. They have been influenced by other cultures within their country. They bring sort of ideologies that is distorting the harmony and your values, your internal norms. So I completely understand the people in Iran, to be honest. I understood also
Oh, we got disconnected, guys. One sec.
crimes. I think it got disconnected. Like, you look at
You're
the
back.
statistics from, can you hear me?
Yes.
So like, you see the statistics from on Afghanistan and Pakistan and different European countries, we top the chart when it comes to committing crimes. Ask yourself why. Like, people have, there's a limit to tolerance, but when you start seeing that your most precious values, practices that built your country, the economy that you have, the security that you have, it's being infiltrated, it's being influenced by bad imported cultures, you start becoming, resentful. And if people start becoming racist, if one day somebody calls me because of my black hair, brown skin, honestly, I would understand, given what in terms of what I see on the street.
Wow. Okay. By the way, Shabnam, we need to go through. Can you give me shorter responses to the next questions, because we need to finish?
Promise.
Okay. So, okay, because I also took so much of your time, so I don't want to take more of it. Carl saying, "Hi, hey Shabnam, can you tell about the rural people in Afghanistan? Do they live in tribes, clans? What authorities do they obey?"
Only the Pashtuns. You have to understand. Only the Pashtuns have this tribal background.
Tribal,
The
okay.
rest of Afghanistan, they don't have that.
Okay, this one is just for me. Somebody saying, Armin, a Christian, blocked me after I sent him receipts that Jesus supported slave ownership and honor killing, and you gave me the Bible verses. Could you tell him he's acting like a closed-minded Taliban? Okay, guys, don't. This your fight between you guys. Don't bring it into this discussion. Okay, I sent you the message. And then somebody else messaged this super chat saying, "This is the U.S. and did the U.S. invasion have any positive effects in Afghanistan? We told ourselves that educating girls would change the nation. Were there any positive effects from the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan?"
I'm the product of that.
Okay.
If the US didn't invade, I think I would have been married off when I was turning 12. I would have had maybe grandchildren by now. I got education. I got saved from indoctrination. A child knows who actually is good guys or bad guys. When I look at myself and remember the anxiety I felt when I saw dots in a car of Taliban Iran, when they would say they're coming, Amr bil Maruf is coming, the rush you have, my heartbeat, everything I remember, the people being beaten on the street because we were playing with marble bars, things like that. I was like quite young, but I remember the trauma. Like for us, it was like as a child, it was automatic fear when you saw these bearded men around you. And I remember how things felt when ISAF came, then NATO came, and we are children. We had nothing to do with politics, right? But you could feel who was there to protect you and who was there to harm you. So I think crystal clear the answer. If it was mismanaged, it failed. That was mistake of the leaders, our leaders.
That was a very powerful answer. Okay, and also Stephanie saying, can we have part 2? If she will, learning a lot. Okay, Stephanie saying we are learning a lot from you, so she was. I mean, the
That's
part
yes.
2 is going to be Yeah, the part 2 is going to be on the Persian channel, so maybe a part 3 on this channel. Or Stephanie, you can learn
Mm,
Persian and come join us at the Persian channel.
yes, that's a solution. No, but I'm happy to do that next time also in English because I
Yeah.
think for me, um, I will feel maybe more comfortable too because I have one-on-one conversations, but not thinking in the setting of a podcast or an interview. I'm more of um, the person who prefers the back scene, being behind the scene.
Mm. Well, I would like it if you're in the front row because we are learning so much. Um, Gasian American is saying PRC is launching its own Xi'an fan competitor to Starlink. I wonder if Afghanistanis, the people of Afghanistan. Oh, see, I'm learning. If people of Afghanistan
Thank
are going to
you.
get them. Yes. So yeah, maybe I don't know. I think China plays nice with the Taliban. So if Taliban doesn't want it, China is not going to send them to Afghanistan because China and Taliban are cooperating with each other. Sam is saying, "Thank you, Shabnam, for an enlightening conversation." Thank you, Sam, for the super chat. And then, okay, Shana has a question here. Oh, this is a very interesting question. Saying, out of curiosity, can the three major ethnicities in Afghanistan tell each other apart physically, easily? So, if you don't speak, if you don't hear each other speak, just by looking at each other, and even if you're not wearing the clothing that is specific to that culture, just look wise, can you tell each other apart or no, physically?
I can, yeah, but I mean, it depends. Even though I've been away from the country, when I look at them, but somehow there's something. I've been asking questions why I know it, but somehow I know it. Maybe others too.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Seymour, who is a Persian and he's very Zoroastrian, he's trying to convert the rest of us to Zoroastrianism sometimes. Seymour here is saying Tajiks saved Persian language. They are Iranian. Oh, would you consider Tajiks to be Iranian or no?
They say Iran Sharqi, not me. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
Iran.
Swiss, but my people, they say Iran Sharqi. I mean, literally,
Wow.
they have lost jobs. People have been kicked out of the parliament for speaking the truth. I don't know if I thought people know this, the Iranians. Like literally, people are living in trauma, even the politicians, because each time they spoke the truth, they said they expressed their identity, they tried to talk about it, they got hurt very bad. That's why today people, on the top level, they're a bit hesitant to even mention those things, but it is. I actually know Iran Sharqi, especially from this famous poet who I actually disagree with because he went to the back of IRGC despite saying to fight the Taliban. But because you see, he's one of those examples who's so much in love with the Persian culture, Iran's history, but he doesn't see he's supporting the wrong guys. But he was always talking in his poems about being Iran Sharqi.
So this is so interesting because, by the way, for people who don't know, Iran Sharqi means Eastern Iran. I
Oh,
don't want
yeah,
to.
I should have said in
Yeah,
English.
yeah. I don't want to get the hopes of expansionist Iranians because some Iranians here in
No,
the room
don't
are
do
trying
that. No,
to.
no, don't do that. No, no. I can tell you for sure,
But
the problem is, even in Switzerland, you have German speakers, one living on
right,
top
right.
of a hill, the other living downhill, just because of, this geography, the cultures are distinct. Like, I
Yeah.
would say, do not import troubles from my country. For
Yes,
now,
yes.
the people have
But
to evolve.
but that's very powerful that you say that. And again, if we could inform more Iranians that there are Tajiks in Afghanistan that call that Iran part Iran Sharqi or Eastern Iran, that will build the bridge on this side. But also, if we could invest in the Tajiks in Afghanistan to show them that the Islamic Republic is against the Persian culture and the Iranian people have been fighting their Islamic government to fight for their Persian culture, then they will realize that the bond that they need to make with the Iran is not with the government, but with the Iranian people against their government. So there's a lot of information that we need to be education that we need to be
For
working
me,
on
it
here.
has been crystal clear since the day I got to know both countries better.
Oh my! Thank you so much. You have opened my eyes, Shabnam. We have opened my. This is a whole new avenue of activism for me now. After I met with you.
Am I the first person from that country that you're interviewing? Can I ask that? Am I the first person
I
from
have
Afghanistan?
no. I'm in touch with a lot of atheist activists in Afghanistan, but we don't talk about this. We speak against Islam. Okay,
Religion and all.
so we do
It
on
goes
our
hand in
Persian
hand.
channel.
Politics, religion goes hand in hand when we talk about one and when you look at the geography. Yeah.
Right. So no, not on this channel, but on my Persian channel, we have had guests, but it's usually atheist, anti-Islamic activists.
Mhm.
Afghanistanis from Afghanistan, actually, some of them brave ones from Afghanistan coming on our show and talking. So that's the topic usually that
Mhm.
we talk about. Okay. So by the way, just two more left, guys. No more super chats. No more super chats. Drew saying,
Go ahead.
I was pissed. I was pissed in the army hearing horror stories of what's going on with kids and that they die if they knew they didn't believe in Allah. Meanwhile, they told me I'm not allowed to talk about Islam in the army. Okay, so that's just a statement. That was not a question. And thank you so much, Drew, for the super chat. I appreciate that. And Drew also, another the same Drew or another Drew? I think it's the same Drew. Yes, the Drew is saying, "Yeah, I'm free back home and I can crap on the prophet's wickedness all day long." Okay, so when he was in Afghanistan, he couldn't speak against Islam, but now that he's back at home, he can speak against Islam. All
It's
right, that was just a
sad.
quick.
It takes a lot of
What?
brave people to, break the taboo. But I have faith in us. I
Taboo.
have faith in the social media and people being able to speak their mind. Um,
Right. Yeah, so you're in favor of breaking taboos then, right? That's good.
if the taboos are causing so much death and distraction, yes.
I appreciate that. I like that. I like that. Okay, again, Shabnam, I'm sorry. I told you 1 hour. It's 2 hours now. I'm just very happy about this conversation. I'm actually didn't know it's going to be this educational, and I'm very excited about having you on the. So you promised that you're gonna accept my invitation on the Persian channel as well, so that we could talk
I
together.
did.
Okay.
I
Okay.
did.
Fantastic.
Thanks a lot,
I'm
Armin.
looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you, Shabnam. This has been guys, make sure you go follow Shabnam. I put your Twitter account in the description. Is that a good thing to promote? So make sure
That's
you
right. I
go
mean,
follow her. Yeah.
I'm mostly using for political reasons LinkedIn. I mean, for academic discussions, LinkedIn, which I've been very much inactive, but for political issues, X, I do that, yeah.
Okay, X guys.
Thanks a
I
lot,
put her link
Armin.
in the description. Thank you, Shabnam.
I'll just
Bye.
leave
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Guys, this was great. I am shooketh. I am shocked. I am very impressed. I learned a lot. I feel that I was ignorant. I feel like I didn't not know a lot of. Again, I learned new things. I thought I knew enough about Afghanistan, and then I was completely blown away. Yeah, this was very, yeah. So Iranians, by the way, guys, the main people who will be shocked by this are Iranians, because the image that we have right now of Afghanistan and Iran. So I don't know if you guys' minds are blown, but when I take Shabnam to the Persian channel, I know on the Persian channel this would be mind blowing. Okay, so you guys are appreciating it as well. Sam is saying that. Okay. Turner, can you enable AI? No, the AI automatically would transcribe it, so and also would auto translate. I don't know if a dubbing. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go, guys. By the way, thank you guys. And if you're new here, we're going to have more interesting conversations like this here. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notification and like the stream. This was really like nuanced, more than I expected it. So, and also once the live stream is over, make sure you leave a comment. The comments under the video helps us grow the channel. Yes, I'm saying my mind is in there. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna go. And yeah, maybe I'll go to the Persian Discord right now. If you guys are Persian, you know where I'm going. Okay, guys, bye. Oh, wait. I'm Israel Chai Javid Shah. Mwah. My God. I'm Israel Chai Javid Shah. Bye, guys. Mwah.